They could have spoken to us at any time. With technology far beyond our comprehension, civilizations light years ahead of ours, they could have entered our skies in daylight and made themselves known. But they didn't. Not during the World Wars. Not during the Cold War. Not even when we detonated our first nuclear bomb, an event that echoed through space like a cosmic alarm bell. They're out there. That much is no longer a question for those who look closely enough. The real question is, why the silence? Why have they never made contact in a way that is undeniable, global, and transformative? The answer is not that they don't care. It's that they're waiting. Not for a political leader. Not for a radio message. Not even for us to discover faster-than-light travel. They are waiting for something deeper, something less visible, but infinitely more important. They're waiting for us to evolve not biologically but consciously. Across the galaxy, there is a law older than any star system. Advanced civilizations do not interfere with those still trapped in the cycle of self-destruction. They do not intervene with species driven by fear, greed, and tribal division, because history across thousands of planets has shown that contact with immature species always ends in collapse. So they watch, they wait, and they listen not to our machines but to our frequency. You see, every being emits a vibration, a field of consciousness, and collectively humanity has a resonance of its own. Right now, that frequency is chaotic, fluctuating between beauty and brutality, wisdom and ignorance, compassion and cruelty. It is as if our species is playing two songs at once, one of awakening and one of collapse. They are listening for the moment the dissonance fades, when the song of awakening begins to rise above the noise. This is not about perfection. It's about potential. They are waiting for the signal that humanity is beginning to unify, not in politics or religion, but in awareness. They call it the threshold of ethical resonance. It's not measured by our scientific achievements, but by the frequency of our collective heart. When the dominant tone of our civilization becomes one of empathy over dominance, wisdom over manipulation, healing over conquest, only then will the signal reach them. And when it does, they will respond. This is not theory. It is pattern. Other civilizations have reached this threshold before. The Council, as they are loosely called, has catalogued thousands of worlds. Most never cross the threshold. They destroy themselves before they can. A few survive barely but regress into darkness for millennia. But those that cross, they are welcomed. Not with fanfare. Not with invasion, but with recognition. And humanity, despite all its chaos, is closer than it knows. There are signs. Why do so many people around the world report dreams of the same beings? Why do children speak of stars they've never studied, of languages they never learned? Why do ancient cultures from opposite sides of the earth speak of sky beings, light visitors, and cosmic teachers? Because we've been here before. We've approached the threshold once in our ancient past, but we turned back. Now we are approaching it again. The rise in spiritual seeking, the global hunger for healing, the mass questioning of systems built on fear. These are not coincidences. They are indicators, like the early tremors before a volcano awakens, not one of destruction, but of transformation. Still, we are not ready. Not yet. We are too divided, too reactionary, too addicted to speed and noise. Our greatest minds are still used to sell attention, not elevate awareness. Our children are taught to compete before they are taught to connect. But change is happening, and the Council sees it. They are not gods. They are not saviors. They are simply more advanced technologically, yes, but more importantly, ethically. And their silence is not cruelty. It is respect. Because they know that real evolution cannot be forced. It must be chosen. And when enough of us choose stillness over distraction, connection over conflict, truth over convenience, something remarkable will happen. the signal will rise, and they will hear it. But the most uncomfortable truth is this. What if contact has already happened, not once, but many times, and we simply weren't ready to recognize it? Throughout history, scattered across cultures and timelines, there have always been individuals who spoke of knowledge that seemed far beyond their era. Visionaries who described heavenly visitors bringing messages of unity, compassion, and cosmic balance. They were often labeled mystics, prophets, or madmen. Some were worshipped, others silenced. But their message carried a common thread, a whisper of something greater watching from beyond, waiting for us to evolve not in tools, but in wisdom. In modern times, we've sanitized these experiences into either science fiction or clinical delusion. We laugh at flying saucers, mock alien believers, and treat spirituality as entertainment rather than inquiry. Yet behind the noise and the skepticism, there are still those who report inexplicable awakenings. People who, without warning, feel a deep inner call to change the way they live, to detach from material illusions, and to pursue something higher, often at great personal cost. These aren't people looking for attention. Many of them stay silent, unsure of what's happening, only knowing that their dreams, their instincts, and their very biology have shifted. What if that shift isn't random? What if these people are the early receivers, not of messages through radio waves, but of something subtler, a vibrational code that only those attuned to a certain ethical or spiritual state can receive? It's here that the controversy begins. Because if this is true, if some form of contact has already occurred, it implies that only a portion of humanity is prepared to perceive it. Not the most powerful, not the wealthiest, but the most aligned. And what if, in a tragic twist of irony, the first to encounter traces of this higher intelligence were not the healers or the visionaries, but those in power, individuals or institutions whose interests were rooted in control? If contact occurred quietly decades ago and the knowledge was buried beneath layers of secrecy, not to protect the masses from panic, but to weaponize the very information meant to uplift us, then perhaps the silence from above isn't indifference. It's disappointment. Because the Council doesn't only observe actions. They observe intent. In one timeline, humanity receives the wisdom of the stars and uses it to heal its divisions, to restore its planet, and to awaken the next stage of consciousness. In another, that same wisdom is hidden, twisted into fear, monetized, and used to deepen separation. Perhaps the reason they haven't spoken openly is not because we are dangerous to them, but because we are still dangerous to ourselves. Yet all is not lost. Despite the damage, the signs of awakening are undeniable. Across the globe, more and more people are beginning to question everything, our institutions, our stories, our identities. They are searching for truth not in books, but in vibration, in energy, in synchronicities, in the silence beneath the chaos. And though scattered and often disconnected, these seekers form a web of resonance that is slowly, subtly shifting the collective frequency of our species. The Council is listening for that shift, not on a political stage, not in scientific publications, but in the subtle hum of human consciousness. When that frequency stabilizes, when enough of us hold it long enough, something extraordinary will occur, not a spaceship landing on the White House lawn, but a moment of inner recognition so profound that the illusion of separation itself dissolves. Contact, then, will not be an event, but a realization. Not something that comes from the sky, but something that awakens within. And when that awakening reaches critical mass, when the human species emits a resonance of integrity, compassion, and collective awareness, the Council will no longer need to stay silent, because we will have finally learned to listen. And in that moment, the greatest revelation won't be that aliens exist, but that they were never truly alien at all. They were kin, waiting for us to come home, not through rockets, but through remembering who we are. So perhaps the real question is no longer why haven't they contacted us? Perhaps the real question is, will we become the kind of species they want to meet?